The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
As a sports fan, I have to confess. Sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
This episode is brought to you by FXX and Hulu. An all-new season of Futurama is back, blending heartfelt moments with razor-sharp humor while accidentally saving the day. The Planet Express crew is back, defying gravity and common sense. From the creator of The Simpsons comes 10 new episodes, where the romance is hotter, the threats are bigger, and the action hits harder. Don't miss the all-new season of Futurama. Watch it Mondays on FXX or stream it on Hulu.
Tonight, turn down the noise of the day and focus on the rest with AGZ, the nightly drink for winding down and resting up. New from AG1. AGZ supports your body's natural sleep cycle with clinically studied key herbs, adaptogens, and minerals in amounts supported by research. And no melatonin, helping you wake feeling rested. Wind down, rest up with AGZ. Learn more at drinkagz.com.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Hey all you heroes, hawks, heralds, crows, pirates, and wardens. Welcome to the Dragon Age Lorecast, where we unpack, discuss, and galaxy brain about all the lore behind the Dragon Age series.
We are so excited to bring you this podcast. Every episode, we'll be talking about a different topic in the Dragon Age universe, from character deep dives to exalted marches and elven gods. We will cover it all.
There will be spoilers. And always remember, swooping is bad.
Hello and welcome to the Dragon Age Lorecast. I'm one of your hosts, Austin, also known as Teacup, and I'm here with my other host.
That's me. I'm Shelby or Shecup.
Yeah, and we're back with some Dragon Age lore, and it's everyone's favorite time. It's time for a character deep dive.
It is. This is our 28th character deep dive.
And we're still not done.
And no, we're not even close to being done. And I mean, even when we do finish the companions specifically, I feel like there's so many more characters that we can talk about. And honestly, just being honest with you, there's some that we need to go back and revisit. Like Morrigan and Varric and Harding because of their appearances in the Veilguard.
That's true. And everyone's favorite bald elf. Our Solus episode was already 2 parts.
Our Solus episode was like 3 hours. We just need to do another like Solus in the Veilguard episode.
Yeah.
But that is for another time because today we are going all the way back to Dragon Age 2, Austin's favorite, and we're talking about Bethany.
One of Austin's favorites.
Really?
Yeah, I do like Bethany a lot.
Interesting. Okay, I'll try not to shit on her too much.
Why are you gonna shit on her?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not at all, actually. It's not the Carver episode. Come on.
I guess that's fair. You know, one of our patrons, longtime patrons, the Nut King, loves Carver.
Nuh-uh.
Lewis, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to DM him about that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I have already done the research for Carver, and I have not warmed to him.
I feel for Carver in the sense of, like, I know what it is like to be overshadowed by a sibling.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see, like, if you are a sibling who, like, I think there's two ways you can read Carver. If you are an older sibling whose younger sibling has always been babied by your parent, you read Carver one way. And I think if you're a sibling who has always been overshadowed by an older sibling, you read Carver a different way.
Absolutely fair. However, canonically, I say this as the unbiased, impartial lore expert, not as the older sister. I do think canonically Leandra babies both of the twins.
Yes. Well, and like, I always wonder sometimes, and this is a little off topic, and I guess not really off topic, does Leandra like baby the twins truly, or is it babying in comparison to her parentifying Hawke?
Great question. I'm not sure I know the answer. I'm not sure we can suss that out.
Right. Because I'm sure we'll talk about this, but like, what age does Malcolm Hawke leave? Like, how old are the siblings?
Leave? What do you mean leave?
Well, he leaves them in Lothering to go with the Carta to the Legacy.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. I don't know. I don't know how old they all are. Dates are not Dragon Age's strong suit, and neither are they mine.
I guess that's true. All right.
So anyway, let's just dive right in. 5 minutes into the podcast. So, fun facts starting off. My first one is that Bethany was actually named in honor of her maternal grandmother, Beth Ann. Which is interesting because Leandra's family pretty much all disowned her when she ran away with Malcolm Hawke. Now, another fun fact is that in the beginning of the game, when Varric is telling Hawke's story to Cassandra, Bethany's boobs are huge, like way bigger than they normally are. And like normally they're already fairly large. They are just out there in the prologue, which I think is explicit confirmation that Varric is exaggerating to Cassandra significantly, and that he's prone to exaggeration just generally when he tells stories.
I definitely agree with that, but also like, and like to that, like Dragon Age 2 specifically, like all the human women especially like just have big boobs.
Do
like,
they? I mean, obviously Isabella does.
Right, but I just think it's a modeling thing. Like I think they like modeled women, and because of time they like all put them in there, and they just made Isabella's bigger than everyone else's, but there was like a base model.
I don't know about that. I'm not doubting you. I just haven't looked it up myself. And we're just going to leave it at that. I am going to refrain from the comment that I was thinking about making.
Well, now I want to know. We can cut it out of the podcast.
I was just going to say, if anybody wants to look that up, feel free, but I'm not doing it.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. So another fun fact I have is that in dialogue, it is implied that Carver was twin A, so he's born first, which means that Bethany is twin B, or the youngest of the three Hawke siblings.
I feel like that reflects in their personalities.
I agree. I think Carver is so classic, bitter, pissed off middle child.
Mm-hmm. And Bethany is the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, like, I think that, and maybe this isn't intentional voice acting or whatnot, but like, Leandra like is way more distraught, I feel like, if Bethany dies.
Oh, really?
I think so.
I don't know if I have watched it enough or played it enough to make an educated guess on that. But maybe. And maybe part of it has to do with her being a mage.
Yeah. Maybe, probably.
But anyway, my next and final fun fact is that Bethany actually has a lot of dialogue and banter references to their time in Lothering and just Ferelden in general. So when you approach the Cunari compound at the Kirkwall docks, she will mention that one of the Cunari actually killed her best friend back in Lothering, which, as we know, is a reference to Sten from Origins. And if you go into the Chantry in Kirkwall, Bethany may mention Liliana, saying that she misses her telling stories when they lived in Lothering. And then lastly, she will mention their Amel cousin in Ferelden's Circle of Magi, who just so happens to also potentially be the hero of Ferelden, your protagonist from Origins. So there's quite a few of these little references that she makes.
It's interesting. Just a lot of Easter eggs for one character.
What do you mean one character?
Like one character to have like a lot of Easter eggs from like one source, which is her banter.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I was like, well, that's Sten, Liliana, and the hero. So that's 3 characters. Yeah, I mean, I think that there are so few people. I think Anders has a couple too, and Carver does as well. And they're all the ones that had appearances in Origins, including Awakening.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get into the backstory. So Bethany and Carver were born in 9/11 Dragon, which coincidentally is the date we're recording this podcast. And she is the younger sister of Hawke. Bethany is an apostate mage, and her magic appeared in childhood. Now, so around the age of 9 years old, her magic starts appearing. And it first really manifests when there was a local bully nearby, and she got upset and threw him across a field without even touching him. So that obviously is a huge manifestation of her magic and forced the family to flee from the area, and then they eventually settled in Lothering. And that's where she and possibly Hawke, if they are a mage, were trained by their father, Malcolm, who also was an apostate. And so once her magic manifested, Bethany stayed in the family home, hidden away, especially when they were in Lothering, to avoid any kind of repeating incidents with her magic. But she did have a couple friends. Once, she and a friend named Ebrin Janeth, also known as Peaches, were being chased by a wild dog. Bethany's magic manifested in such a way that she put the dog to sleep accidentally. The friend Peaches didn't tell anyone because she didn't truly believe that Bethany was a mage. And then after this incident, though, Bethany really becomes much more reclusive, much more internally focused. And I think Bethany has a lot of shame that stems from these incidents in her childhood. And in the rare times when she does leave the house, people noted that she was a curious child, especially about religious stories that focused on Andraste and the Maker. That's how she became acquainted with Liliana. A traveling merchant named Sade once visited the Hawke home and described Bethany as masterfully reserved and one who, quote, reveled in the stories of the far and away.
Yes. So, like, this is the point of, like, I think, like, the difference between Bethany and Carver in the game, at least, is one of the reasons I like their sibling dynamic, is that they are different personality wise. Like, they don't just exist to be the warrior to mage Hawke or the mage to a rogue or warrior Hawke. Like, they have distinct personalities, and Bethany very much is like the let's make a name for ourselves, like, let's have adventure, let's do these kinds of things, and Carver is very much like we have to make money because we have to like hide from your Templars. We have to do all this.
That's interesting because I feel like Carver is also I need to make a name for myself away from my family, and I need to get out of the shadow of my older sister, my older brother. I need to get out of the shadow of my mage family. Like, I need to make my own name separate from them. And I do agree with you. Bethany is much more like infatuated by stories, like the stories of the Grey Wardens. She's terrified of the stories she's heard of the circles. She wants to go to the deep roads because of the stories that she's heard about it. So it goes back to that curiosity that they mentioned. Like, I do think she's a very curious person in general. So, unless you have any more thoughts about her childhood, we can get into Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so regardless of player choice, you will meet Bethany in the prologue, where she is fleeing Lothering with the rest of the Hawks. In a surprise encounter with an ogre, Bethany will die if Hawke is a mage. If Hawke is not a mage, Carver, her twin, dies instead. So you only get her as a companion if you play non-mage Hawke, which I personally, granted, I haven't played DA2 infinite number of times like some of us in the room have, but I have played it a few, and generally I think I tend to play a mage Hawke, so I have had more experiences with Carver than I have with Bethany.
Yeah, I tend to play I really like Rogue Archer in DA2, so I've played that a lot, and so I've gotten a lot of experience with Bethany. Yeah, they're just really different experiences.
Yeah, they really and truly are. And I think we'll get into this later. I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole of comparing them. But yes, I agree with you completely. They are so different. So when you get to Kirkwall, Bethany will spend the year working with her older sibling in servitude to repay their passage. Both her and Carver do this. They later hear about and join Varric and Bartrand's expedition into the deep roads. And pretty early on, Bethany starts to express a lot of guilt and shame surrounding the lengths that her family has to go to keep her hidden as an apostate mage. She will even sometimes wonder if everyone in her family just would have been better off if she had indeed been sent to the circle. And then shortly thereafter, they get that 50 gold that they need to join Varric. But I really want to emphasize this cycle of shame that Bethany really seems to be stuck in. Like, she doesn't have any kind of self-confidence. She's very self-pitying. She almost reads like she's going to commit self-harm of some kind. And so that's, I think, really fundamental to understanding her character, because she is looking for a place to belong, and she doesn't have any confidence in herself and who she is as a mage, but also just as a human being, because she's a mage, and because also she's lived in this kind of solitude, introspection from so long, being cooped up in the house. I think also that she has withdrawn away from her own family.
Yeah, I definitely kind of agree with that. And
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it. Guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Disney and Pixar's Elio has a new home. Now streaming on Disney+.
That's amazing!
Critics agree. Elio is fun and full of heart and humor.
These are the lava tunnels. I am not fireproof! Just get in my mouth. It's actually kind of comfy in here. It is?
It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Ta-da!
Elio's bringing the whole family together on Disney+.
1, 2, 2.5, 3!
Disney and Pixar's Elio. Now streaming on Disney+. Rated PG.
She's so interesting to me because, like, and like, again, a difference. Like, Carver almost, like, it's not that he likes Gamlin, but, like, he almost empathizes with Gamlin because Gamlin is like, oh, Leandra's the favorite. And I think Carver is like, yeah, well, you know, Hawke is the favorite. And
which is not true.
Right. And, or Hawke's the one who everyone wants to give attention. He's the, she is the one who does things. And Bethany despises Gamlin. And like in the like quest, like I can't remember what Carver does in the quest to like get the ML state back. But in Bethany's version, she's very much like, we need to do this. We need to do this. Like, oh, Gamlet's stealing. Like, Gamlet's hiding something. Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't played it recently enough to be like, oh, Carver doesn't do that. I don't want to say that for sure.
Well, I mean, if we're just going by like the stories we know of her being reclusive in the house, she probably spends the most time with him.
Mm-hmm.
So she knows exactly how disgusting of a man he is.
That's probably true.
But I do think now is a good time for our mid-break before we get into the two different paths that her story can take. So let's head over there.
All right.
Learning through play starts with Lego Duplo. With Lego Duplo, toddlers can develop real-life skills while having fun with colorful bricks made just for them. Large, easy to grip, and safe to explore. When children express themselves with Lego Duplo, they build patience, problem-solving, and empathy. See your child learn perseverance and self-expression with everything they imagine and create. Visit lego.com/preschool to learn more.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra, a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course, because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
That is uncharacteristically wise of you.
Yes, well, don't let it get around. I have a reputation.
We hear odd stories of Templars in the Imperium, Dorian.
All true.
I haven't even told you what I've heard.
Doesn't matter. All true. Particularly the part with the grapes and feathers.
Oh, I was leading towards that one, actually.
Please, go on. First Talon.
What?
Seeing if you've got the hang of your new title yet.
Right. Me. First Talon.
If you join the Wardens, you could become the first Warden who's also First Talon.
The first Talon Warden.
Or First Talon First Warden.
Is that the first Talon who is a Warden, or the first Talon First Warden?
So many possibilities.
So yeah, welcome to the middle of the show where we take time to thank our patrons. Thank you so much to all of our patrons who support us. I believe we have one more merch dropping for this show too.
Yes, we do. We do.
So we have one more merch dropping pretty soon here. So if you want to get in on that, now is the time to sign up. Another great way to support us is to leave us ratings or reviews. If you leave us 5 stars and some kind words, we will read it out on a future episode of the show. And so today I have a comment from Dallas on our Which Veilguard Companion is Your Fave episode on one of our patron chats. And Dallas says, I have to say that I really enjoy the way that both Teacup and She-Cup explain in such detail the lore of Dragon Age. I found this quickly becoming my new favorite podcast and cannot believe that it does not have more views/followers. You have both gained a loyal subscriber and fan for the rest of time. In war, victory, in peace, vigilance, in death, sacrifice. Thank you so much for that comment. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. And the last thing is to come hang out with us on Discord. You can come and talk about Dragon Age in our Discord server, the Cubs Podcasting, and more. It's a great place to hang out, a great place to talk about video games and all things nerd. And with that, that's all I have for the middle of the show.
All right, let's get back into it.
This reminds me of a story. Shocking. It's about an impossibly handsome dwarf and his friend who got crowned King of the Nugs. A Nug King? Really? It's not as good as it sounds. Nugs mostly just shit on the floor and roll in it. Welcome to the Deep Roads.
Is it me, or is this the slowest lift ever constructed?
It's better than climbing down.
I could do with some music. Something with a flute.
How about we skip this one? Send your man instead.
How about I shove a canary up your coal mine?
Oh, you fear barbarians will swoop down upon you.
Yes, swooping is bad.
All right, so as we get back into this, I do want to give a disclaimer. Usually we try to go through the story like step by step when there are two diverging paths and say like, okay, well, if you do this, this is the outcome you get, whichever choice. But instead today we're going to go through each storyline for Bethany as its whole because it's just so much longer. And so we're going to start with what happens if you leave Bethany at home when you go to the Deep Roads. So if you leave her at home, she is arrested and taken to the gallows just as Hawke returns from the Deep Roads. She does remain in contact with the family, and she actually adjusts pretty quickly to life in the Circle. She passes her harrowing easily and becomes a senior member of the Circle, in charge of teaching the young apprentices. She is relieved that she doesn't have to run anymore, and she generally doesn't mind living in the Circle. During the Cunari siege, she leads an attempt to save First Enchanter Orsino. Hawke arrives to help, and after he regains consciousness, Orsino used his magic to revive Bethany, who was the only other Circle mage that survived the attack. Hawke is pretty coldly received by Bethany, who utters some sarcastic and ungrateful remarks, but ultimately she does survive the siege. Yes, go ahead.
I just this is what gets me is that if the other half didn't happen when she went to the Deep Roads, it wouldn't have mattered. The Templars would have still found her and arrested her.
Mm-hmm.
It always bugged me when they get so mad at Hawke for this, of if you had taken me, this wouldn't have had to been this way. At least Carver is a thing of he's pissed that he doesn't get to go, so he goes and joins the Templars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hear you. I do think it's an inevitability that Bethany would get found out by the Circle. I think the only reason Hawke doesn't is because of who Hawke is and the things that Hawke has done for the city. So yeah, I hear that. I also think that's kind of Bethany's attitude as the youngest sibling, as kind of the one who again is babied. It's not that she's always given everything she wants, because they literally can't, but her problems are the family's problem, not her problem.
Right, exactly.
And I think that reaction of, Hawke, you should have protected me, just kind of goes to show that.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on a little bit to Act 3, Bethany pretty obviously is going to side with the mages. And if Hawke sides with the mages too, she's thankful that they would side with their sibling and the mages. And so she will join the party again and then participates in the defense and the evacuation of the Circle and of Magi. And if Hawke joins forces with the Templars, on the other hand, she pleads with them not to force her to choose between her family and her people. In the battle with Orsino, Hawke can reveal that he studied the research of their mother's murderer, Quentin. And then he responds in kind with blood magic of his own. Bethany is appalled and will join the battle against him. After the battle, Meredith still wants to execute Bethany because of course she does, because she cannot be convinced otherwise that Bethany is not a blood mage. Hawke can actually choose to let their sibling get executed. Why you would do that, I don't know, but you can choose that, or you can defend her. And if you defend her, she will then join your battle against Meredith. So that's her arc if she becomes a Circle mage. Do you have thoughts on that so far?
This arc is not bad for Bethany. I just prefer the next one that we're going to talk. I think it's better for her.
I think I agree. I think that Bethany wrestles with a lot more bitterness if she becomes a Grey Warden, which we're about to get into. And I think that she's much more just like resigned, just kind of like, okay, this is life. Oh, well, whatever. If she becomes a Circle mage, like she is maybe complacent is the right word if she's a Circle mage.
Right. I do wish that we explored more of her, like, becoming this mentor to the younger Circle students, of like coming into her own, because one of the things that I love about the Grey Wardens is that, like, she kind of becomes and builds relationships that are her own, which I think she does do as a Circle, but like with the companions, like, it's always this things of like, oh, those are my brother's friends, those are my sister's friends.
Yeah.
Like, they like me and they're fine, but
they're not my friends.
Right.
Absolutely agree with you. And I mean, I can relate because my brother hung out with my friends when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, he still does from time to time, but like, they're my friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I get that. And I do think it's good for Bethany and Carver too, but both of them to go somewhere outside of Kirkwall, outside of Lothering, where they're not around anybody that knows their family.
Exactly.
So with that being said, let's get into this other option of taking Bethany with you during the Deep Roads expedition. So if she goes, she gets the taint and she dies unless Anders is in your party, in which case she can be recruited into the Grey Wardens as the only recourse to save her life. If she becomes a warden, she ends up having very little contact with her family. She will contact Leandra to inform her that she has indeed survived and is traveling with the wardens. She does have a lot of resentment toward Hawke for coming out of the Deep Roads unscathed, while she didn't, and while she's been permanently changed. She is the only member of the Hawke family that will return to Ferelden since their flight from Lothering.
That's really interesting. So I have something to say of here of like, and this is my thing of like with Leandra, and I am going to give benefit of doubt and say this is because of the time constraints of DA2. But no matter what you choose, Leandra acts like Bethany is dead.
True, she does. But I mean, you have to think about it. She's dead to her.
I guess that's
she
fair.
doesn't live with them anymore. She doesn't get to come to family dinners. She doesn't get to hang out and play board games. She doesn't, get to go on vacation wherever they may vacation to. She doesn't get to go for drinks at the Hanged Man. She's either away traveling, tainted with darkspawn blood, or she's suffering under Meredith's leadership of the circle.
I guess that's fair.
So honestly, I mean, if I was Leandra, who ran away from her home, ran away from her wealthy family, a family who would have given her a life of privilege, to marry an apostate who lived on the run for forever so that he wouldn't be caught by the circle, I can very much see how Leandra would have felt like Bethany leaving, whatever way she decided to go, whether it was with the Wardens or the circle, would have felt like it was a betrayal.
I guess that's fair.
Especially if she chooses, well, she doesn't really choose to go to the circle, but if she ends up at the circle, especially, I can feel like I can understand how Leandra would see that specifically as a rejection of Leandra and Leandra's life choices.
That's probably fair.
But this is not a Leandra episode. So let's continue on with Act 2 of Bethany's story as a warden. So during the Cunari siege, she and several other wardens are attacked by the Cunari, and they do receive some help from Hawke. However, she can't join Hawke to save the city from the Cunari, which is what happens also if Stroud shows up or Nathaniel Howe. If any of them show up, like, it's all the same. Like, oh, they're on a mission, they can't stay, and they can't help you any more than they currently are. Hawke can then tell her, though, about Leandra's murder, but she'd actually already heard the news from somewhere, and the wardens held a wake in Leandra's honor, which I think is sweet. You can also see Bethany during the Finding Nathaniel quest, where she is surprised to see you, and she tells you that she greatly fears the day that she succumbs to the taint. And she's also grief-stricken by how much she misses her family, which is kind of a change from her earlier letters of resentment. She explains that at first she tried to freeze herself off emotionally in order to cope with these feelings of sorrow. And even so, she tries to accept and has partially accepted that Hawke did their best and did everything they could in order to save her. But she doesn't really like give a proper goodbye, kind of almost as a tease of like, this isn't goodbye, it's just see you later. And then once we get into Act 3, she arrives back in Kirkwall just at the beginning of the war with the mages and the Templars. And she finds Hawke, apologizes for her previous coldness, and thanks Hawke for saving her life, and basically is just like, I'm going to fight with you. She doesn't resent you anymore, though she does have some regrets for the way that her life has turned out. But ultimately, like, she's okay with being a Grey Warden. She enjoys it. She believes in the mission of the Grey Wardens, and she likes that she has something to fight for. And she ultimately believes that all of her trials that she's endured over her life have been a result of the Maker's plans in her life. And she will fight by your side if you side with the Templars. And now in Dragon Age Inquisition, just moving on pretty quickly, if Bethany survives Dragon Age 2, the Inquisitor can ask Varric about her. And he will say if she became a warden that she was last seen on warden business near the Anderfells. Hawke later reveals that Aveline was sent to take her far away from Orlais when the Orlesian wardens started going crazy. You can also find a bottle of Bethany's right wine named Princess Piss in Redcliffe. And if Bethany became a circle mage, she stayed behind in the Free Marches to help the other mages in Kirkwall. Similarly, again, Hawke sent Aveline to take her away from the Free Marches, away from Orlais when the Orlesian wardens started going crazy. So either way, if Bethany survives DAI, or if Bethany survives DA2 and Hawke survives DAI, it's implied that they reunited. Mm-hmm. We get absolutely no information about this whatsoever in the Veilguard, so my assumption is that they're alive and well somewhere out there until I get confirmation otherwise.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
That is where I'm going to live.
And that's the show.
I forgot that we have not mentioned Varric's nickname for Bethany.
Oh, we have it.
Yeah, which is Sunshine.
It is, yes. You're
which
right.
I think is hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little ironic because she can be happy, but like she also, I think, is just so negative is not the right word. She's just so introspective and anxious.
I think that like Varric's nicknames sometimes have like clever irony in them, like chuckles, sunshine, these kind of things like that. Tiny. So I think that's part of it. Varric is very much he very much reads people's like souls pretty well. So I'm sure he picks up on all of that. And like he has his own sibling dynamic that I'm sure he sees mirrored in some ways across with Bethany.
Yeah,
and
that's
Hawke.
probably fair. All right. So we can either go into our quotes and characteristics and discussion, or if you have things to say now before we kind of get into all that.
No, I think we can go on to quotes because all mine are like why you love or hate this character.
Okay. So I did bring a few quotes. This first one is about her family. She says, "Father was a good man, but Mother gave up so much for him. Of course, if she hadn't worked up the nerve to elope, she probably wouldn't have been able to resist the Templars either. If we'd been born here, you'd be nothing more to me than a name the Circle kept in my file." Which to me implies that Leandra is also a mage.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because why would Leandra need to resist the Templars?
I think resisting the Templars. I think maybe this is a quote about like her resisting the Templars on behalf of Malcolm. Like using her status to try to protect him.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't want to focus too much on that because at the end of the day, the quote is about the family relationship and about her attitude toward the Circle. And she doesn't really seem that regretful about what it would be like to go to the Circle. She's just very matter of fact about it.
It's a matter of fact of like had she grown up there, like she wouldn't have known
anything
her family
else.
really.
Yeah.
So when they meet Wesley, she will say, "Well, the Maker has a sense of humor. Darkspawn and now a Templar. I thought they all abandoned Lothering," which is a little sassy. And then the last two that I brought are really some like theological statements, because we've touched on this throughout the episode that she is probably the most religious of her siblings, but we haven't really gone in depth about her belief system, and so these two quotes are kind of going to illustrate that. And so the first one is, "The Maker is wiser than we can be in a lifetime. Who am I to question his plan?" And the second one is, "All these years I tried to understand what Andraste saw, why she had to lock us up. But my powers came from the Maker, and I just cannot believe that is his will." End quote, meaning locking mages up is not the will of the Maker.
I think these quotes are like, you can tell Liliana was her teacher.
You so can. I agree with that. And I mean, I think Bethany is very much a mage in the way that you and I look at magic in this universe of like, it is dangerous. It needs to be regulated, but like these people don't need to be oppressed. Circles should be schools that teach them, hey, we're going to undo the shame that makes your magic explosive, and we're going to teach you how to use your magic. And I think that this first quote of, well, the Maker is wiser than we can be. We shouldn't question him. We shouldn't question the world as it is. We should just be okay with it. Going from that to the second quote of, I don't think this is the Maker's will because he created us, right? That's a really big shift in theological belief. And that's significant for her character development.
Yes, very much so. Dragon Age 2 really tackles some religious nuance of the game a lot. Really the whole like pre-Veilguard 3 games do in a good way. But yeah, there's this point of like Bethany understanding like the role that magic makes, and I think that shows in her teachers, because Malcolm Hawke is not a let's let mages run free and wield power for power's sake. Like, he is very much a you can become a terror upon this world if you are not careful.
Right.
And like that's
why he, it's part of the reason why he goes back to, do all this stuff with Corypheus.
Mm-hmm. Because he needs to do that. And I just think that like when we're talking about her relationship with the other companions, there's always obviously like this like very loving and kind companionship with Varric that she has, and then there is this kind of like maternal relationship between Aveline, but there is also a friendship between Bethany and Fenris that happens, and like Fenris has a lot of respect for Bethany because Bethany is a mage who seems to be wanting to control herself and control her power, and who has a healthy fear of her power. In fact, so there is a line that when he's arguing with Anders, if you're playing a warrior Hawke, if you play a mage Hawke, Fenris responds, because Anders says, he goes, not all mages are weak. And Fenris will normally respond with, yeah, Hawke's not weak. If you're playing a warrior, he says, I know, Bethany is not weak. And like he could say Beryl, which is not a good example.
No.
And like, but there are other things like that. But I just think that's a point of like, Fenris can recognize mages who understand and want to control themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think about that example a lot because like it can't be Meryl because she's a blood mage. It can't be Anders because he's a blood mage. So and I think maybe not most, but a lot of us play blood mage Hawke. Just saying.
It's the best build in the game.
So I mean, pretty much Bethany's the only mage who's not a blood mage in this game.
Right. She's a force mage, which has a lot of like, it fits a lot because she has a lot of like that has like Fists of the Maker and other like maker themed abilities and things like that. And so, yeah, I just think that Bethany being this example of a strong mage, like the more I dive into DA2, the more I realize that they really worked hard to not really paint this binary of like all mages are this way, all Templars are this way.
Yes, I agree with that. And I mean, on reflection of looking back at DA2, a DA2 retrospective, so to speak, they did such a great job at not having any like stereotypes of mages or representing a vast variety of what the different mages can be like yes, we have the justice seeker, we have the angry one, we have the one that wants to right all the wrongs, yes, we have one who doesn't really care, just wants to do their own thing, and then we have Bethany, who's just kind of very much a probably the most normal of all of the mages in that game, who just wants to live her life and be part of society and just do the things she wants to do. And so I think it is a good balance that they struck of the different kinds of mages that are represented.
Very much so.
All right. So I do have a few characteristics of her personality. So if you have any more, let me know. So I do think she is reserved. She's introspective. She's religious, self-doubting, empathetic, and she's extremely anxious, especially at the beginning of the game.
Yes, very much so. I think I agree with all those, and there's not really one that I would add to that. So I think I'm ready for just some wrap up of why we love or hate.
All right, go ahead.
So I do love Bethany. Part of because I played this game as like a 19, 20-year-old and had a crush on Bethany.
Of course you did.
But
of course you did.
But I also love Bethany just for the reasons that we were talking about, of her being this mage that like really isn't just wants to live her every day. And I think it's a mage that the mage rebellion needs to remember. Like, not everyone wants to be this mage that's like gung-ho for the cause. Like, some of them just want to live their life, fall in love, have a family, like
grow a garden, buy a little house,
do good, help people around them. Like, that's what they want. And they don't want to get involved in this like big like chance for justice. And I think that we see this a lot in this series, and I'm thinking about Reese from Asunder and just other things of these mages who are thrust into it and like forced because the Templars behave the way they do. Like, Bethany joins the Mage Rebellion because Meredith goes too far.
Right.
Like, she doesn't default to that.
Right.
And, like, is as appalled by Anders' actions as Aveline or Fenris or anything like that. And so I really enjoy that balance, because I do think the mages do a lot of things wrong in DA2.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're pushed to do a lot of things wrong, but they are constantly turning to blood magic and Kirkwall all the time.
Yes, they are. But to be fair to them, can we really blame them for that?
No, I'm not adding any kind of judgment.
And I'm not even saying that because of what Meredith does. I'm saying that just because, like, the whole city of Kirkwall is like one drop of blood away from breaking the Fade open at all times.
Right. And like, Kirkwall itself is a cesspool.
Yeah, it's like the worst of humanity, of all people.
Right. And like, there's such a like class disparity in Kirkwall that plays into it as well.
True.
Like, the difference, but like, there's no midtown. It's
high or low town, baby.
Right? Like, that's where we're at. And so I get that. I mean, like, there's merchant class and things like that, but like, there's such a class dynamic in there, and like, there's such a racial dynamic in here too, between the Qunari and the elves. Like, I think it's really telling that you go into the Blooming Rose or whatever, and almost all of the like staff and people are elves.
Well, it's like that in Ferelden too.
Yeah. And so like, there's just all these kinds of things going on there that like Kirkwall also has this identity of like, we're Kirkwall and we're going to be what we're going to be and we're going to do this.
But we're shitty and we're proud. That's
right.
how they act.
But yeah, that's the thing. And I just feel like that's part of the mages thing. But Bethany is a good reminder of like, Fenris serves as a reminder of us to kind of mirror Anders in a way of like, no, mages can go too far. Bethany serves as the reminder of like, mages can be good.
I think that's a great analysis, and I agree with you. I like Bethany a lot. I didn't fully appreciate her on my first playthrough, my second playthrough, whichever one it was, because I at the end of the day, I just feel so bad for Hawke, the eldest Hawke, the player character, because no matter what you choose, no matter what you do, everyone's mad at you all the time. Your siblings are mad at you. Your mom is mad at you. Your siblings are resentful. They're unhappy. And you just like can't do anything right. But I think at the end of the day, like, Bethany more than anybody else is stuck in an impossible situation. Like, Anders always has the Grey Wardens to fall back on. Meryl has the elves to fall back on. Those are the only mages, but like, Fenris can always run away again. Aveline's got the guard. Varric has got, well, let's just say he's Varric. Bethany doesn't have anyone else. Bethany and Carver both. They don't have anyone else until they join one of these groups. And that really helps their development, but like, it really underscores how isolated they all are. Because they only have their family. And I think the way they grew up has a lot to do with that. But I think Bethany is really well written. I wish that we could have all three of them in the game. because I wish we could see more of Bethany and Carver's relationship.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Because we don't really get to see what their relationship is like. And honestly, like, we don't see a ton of grief from the sibling or from the twin over the other one that dies. We see grief from Leandra, of course, but we don't really see them grieving over their twin, which I think would be interesting to get some info on how they handle that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I do like Bethany, and I think she's a great character. And what I'll end with is that she's an underappreciated character.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. But do you have any last thoughts? Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
I think that's it.
All right. Well, thanks for putting this research together. It was a pleasure as always. And thank you all for listening to the Dragon Age Lorecast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Dragon Age Lorecast. You can find us on Twitter at DALorecast.
If you have any lore questions, topics to unpack, or side character suggestions, join our Cups Podcasting and More Discord server. It's easily the best place on the internet. You can also support us financially through our Patreon. You can find us there on patreon.com/DragonAgeLorecast.
The Dragon Age Lorecast is part of the Robots Radio Network. For more information about the Robots Radio Network, join the Discord server via the link in our episode description.
If you enjoyed the show or learned something new today, please subscribe, leave us a review, and join the Patreon. And if you enjoyed our intro and outro music, give a big thank you to Pipe Man Studios. Thank you, Pipe Man. Thanks again for listening to the Dragon Age Lorecast. We'll see you next time.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
That's the sound of the fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron and the quiet confidence of ultra-smooth handling. The elevated interior reminds you this is more than an EV. This is electric performance redefined.
Your sausage McMuffin with egg didn't change. Your receipt did. The sausage McMuffin with egg extra value meal includes a hash brown and a small coffee for just $5. Only at McDonald's for a limited time.
Prices and participation may vary.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.